whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā ko nā whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira whakarongo pi kari mai. Hare mai, o Taringa hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody. Gather up close everybody. Kani move that body. Kani move that body.
Ka hirihiri ki runga ki a rangi nui e tūnei, ka hirihiri ki raro ki a papatua anuku e takoto nei. Ka hirihiri te ngākau i runga i te kupu whakamihi ki a koutou ngai taringa. E te ao nau mai hoki mai ki tēnei te punua pāho, e whakapāho atu nei te piki auahi bustling metropolis of Te Awamutu. Coming at you from Te Pokapū o Taringa ki konei ki te wānanga o te roa. Very lucky to be in studio today. Morena te tuine.
Very lucky.
Ai.
Morena.
Ai, morena. Hoi anō kia huri a tāua mihi ki tā tāua manihiri. Tēnā koe te whatahoro nau mai, haere mai, ane ki a Taringa.
Tēnā koe, tēnā korua, tēnā tātou.
Kei te kite au i te moana e tere mai nā e muri a koe e hika.
Ko tamu ana ngā ngutu.
Yeah, well, you'll be the call. Ko koe te mea ruku kai o tāua. I go for a ruku at Mahana Seafoods. There you go, Mahana Seafoods, Hamilton, you got a plug. The last ruku I did have, I pōneke au.
Yeah.
I've detached myself from, because I had a connection. Anyway, as I was swimming up I had my kaya in one hand and I still have this ring that I got in Hawaii, which was actually Indian.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I was swimming up, e kauwhakarunga ana.
Yeah.
And as my hand was coming down, I felt my ring slip off.
Oh.
And I saw it. I saw it come off my finger.
It went into the abyss.
It went into the abyss. But did I drop the kai to catch the ring? No. I took the kai up. And to this day, kei reira tonu, taku ringi.
Oh, well.
You know, it was like a scene out of the Lord of the Rings as I saw my ring slipping off my finger.
Yeah, and it would have been going in slow motion.
Yeah, mātai ko aku, I was there with my cousins and, you know, it was getting dark. We were still trying to find it. Anyway.
Gather up close, everybody.
Kia ora e hoa e whakamānau atu ana māua. Ki a koe, mau I whakawāte I a koe ki te kōrero mai. Well, Mickey, te have a yarn.
Ai.
Like having these yarns on Taringa.
Ai.
Nō reira, e mihi nui ana ki a koe. Ka whiua ki a koe kia. Kōrero mai koe kia māua Mickey ki te iwi. Kōwai koe, nōwhea koe, ahātu.
Tutahi ake kei te mihi ki te karanga pōhiri. Mai ki a hau, ki tēnei punua tāngata, ki te pahu noa. Tōku rahi o Wairarapa. Heoi anō, ko Whatahoro Fox tōku ingoa. E āhua whakamāna I tēnei tono nā te mea he ahi tere I tēnei wā. E noho ana I te pūwaha o te awa tupua. I te taho oku tau kete. I te whānau o tōku hoa rangatira. Heoi anō, e rite tonu taku hoki atu ki te kāinga. Ka mutu, aha koa ngā horonga whakapapa. Katoa e here nei ahau ki ngā iwi o te tai rāwhiti. Me e tei hononga ki te whakatohea me ngā puhi. Whānau mai ahau I te Wairarapa, pakeke mai ahau I te Wairarapa, tangata mai ahau I te Wairarapa, no reira ko Wairarapa tēnei e tu atu nei te rangi nei. Koira pēa ngā kōrero timatanga mōku.
Kia ora e hika tēnā koe. Ka mahu e taku tīmata ki taku tauparapara nei, kararapa ki runga, kararapa ki raro. Anei a whatahoro kua taumai. Tēnā kia whakahokia ki a koe kia... Tēnā kōrero mai tētahi rerenga, tētahi kiwaha nei no roto mai tō kāinga o te Wairarapa.
E whakaro ana hau mo te kōrero orokohanga me ki, te kōrero taunaha, tapatapa mo te moana, mo tō mātou moana, ko Wairarapa. Nā haunui ana naia tēnei kōrero, ka ki ake kararapa ngā kanohi. Ko Wairarapa, I had a little laugh at that, kararapa ngā kanohi, because the short version of the story, he plonked himself down on the hill and was having a bit of a tangi. And I thought it was a bit funny. Instead of saying, ka heke a roimata, ka waiwai ngā kamo, he said, ka rarapa ngā kanohi. I didn't have a tear. I didn't shed a tear. I didn't have a cry, but my eyes glistened. That's a little bit of a tough guy move.
Yeah, just like those onion stories.
Yeah. My eyes are sweating.
That's a cool one.
Yeah, but then that's where the name for our moana came from.
Kia ora.
Wairarapa, because his eyes were glistening when he was looking at it.
Oh, cool.
E tai, he tika rā te kōrero ko te Wairarapa, tō moana, koia tonu tētahi o ngā kanohi o te ika a Māui, koira tētahi o a koutou kōrero.
Ko tētahi anō ingoa mō tō mātou kāinga ko te karu o te ika.
Kia ora.
Oh, wow.
So cool, eh?
Yeah. Te karu o te ika.
Aye.
Cool.
So technically we would be within the region of te upoko o te ika because the karu is on the upoko, see?
Yes.
Kia ora, yeah, and I haven't flown down to Pōneke in a while, but when I do, if we take that flight path, usually over the Tararua, Ruahine, and then you'll see Wairarapa ki tētahi taha, anā ko te whanganui ātara ki tētahi taha, and ka kite I te anō nei he karu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when I was schooling, I did a bit of schooling in Wellington in ngā mokopuna, and one of the kōrero there was he haui puta mai te waha o te ika. Wellington was so windy because the ika huffing and puffing or whatever. So they put the picture in my head that the Wellington Harbour was a waha. It's a bit of a drive to get from Wairarapa to Wellington, but if you look at it geographically, it's just over one hill.
The Rimutaka.
Yeah, Rimutaka, if you're in Wainui o Mata, the hill ranges above you, just over that is Wairarapa Moana.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty close, eh?
It's quite close, yeah.
Well, ko te tūmanako kare te iwi, e haere ake nei e waihanga tānara.
Tānara.
Yeah, you know, like if we ever
tunnel.
see, yeah. Kupuha, tānara. Tino hohonu, tānara. Kupu mino e te iwi, loan word, tunnel. There you go.
There's a train tunnel, so all the Wairarapa lot commute to Wellington for mahi. They
Kia ora.
catch the train, and I think they're developing a bike path that goes around those ranges from Wairarapa Moana around into Eastbourne.
Kia ora. Wa tiakina tō pahikara e tai. Hei, nā kia hoki ki te kōrero nei, ka rarapa aku kanohi. Nā ki o whakaaro, hea tetehi tauira e tae ai tērā te whakatakoto ki roto i tētahi rerenga kōrero o te wānei. I really like that.
Kei te āhua, ko taku pai ki tērā kōrero he āhua, ai harei te mea matarua, engari e tae ana i etahi momo horopaki. Engari ka whakaaro ake mō ngā horopaki e waiwai ai ngā kamu. Mēnā he pauri, mēnā he harikoa rānei.
Kia ora.
E whakahihi ana i ngā mahi a te tamaiti.
Yeah.
E tangi ana i te pauri. E waiwai ana ngā kamu i te pukukata. E tae ana tēnā i era momo horopaki.
Rawe. Yeah, e rarapa ana oku kanohi tō i o kakahu i te rānei.
Oh, tēnā koe.
Ai. Me tō ātāhua.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Pono, I'm not just using it, because I can. Engari, he pai e tai kia rongo te iwi tētahi whakamahinga o te rerenga rā. Yeah, and I really like how no koutou, te ingoara, no koutou hoki te whenua, te moana.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can use it in a, it's not many, well, usually you're either sad, you're happy, but this one you can use for some different
And a bit of
horopaki.
Yeah.
Like when
context.
you're watching a movie and there's some onions around.
Yeah.
Kararapa aku kanohi.
Yeah.
Ai.
I'll do those ones. I'm not crying.
Yeah. Same.
E te rarapa noi ho ngā kanohi.
Well, e te iwi, kia mohi o mai koutou, inawhia, I think it was, te hōtaka toru te kau, might have been, around there. I kōrero rā kia tātere. E ni tuku a tātere i tētahi kōrero whānui, mō tēnei iwi koenei, I think ko Kahungunu te iwi nui tuarua o Aotearoa.
Taku mohi o ai.
E muri a ngāpui?
Ai. Population nei.
Yeah. Well, even whenua nei hoki, yeah, he whenua nui,
yeah.
and we're not going to get into, you know, talking about borders and tarara, wai oe rā kōrero. Engari, I recall Kahungunu ki, if we come down, Kahungunu ki Wairoa, Kahungunu ki Ahuriri, Kahungunu ki Heretaunga, Kahungunu ki Tamatea, Kahungunu ki Tamaki Nui Arua. And here we are e te iwi Kahungunu ki Wairarapa. He kōrero tēnei ki a koutou e te iwi. If you haven't listened to that episode, tēnā. Hoki whakamuri, haere ki te hōtaka toru te kau. Toru te kau, engari tēnei rā ko Kahungunu ki Wairarapa.
I probably should have gone back and had a listen too, just so I don't contradict anything.
Hey,
no,
no.
but that's the beauty. Like, everyone's got their own stories that they grew up with, and you kind of stick them all together.
Yeah.
Koia.
Well, a lot of our kōrero tuku iho contradict themselves anyway, so...
Ana, oe, tika, koina te ātāhua o ngā kōrero tuku iho, en ka riro mā muri me ki mā tātou e kimi haha nā tīwhiri, how we join the dots.
Yeah.
So you're joining the dot for Kahungunu ki Wairarapa e tai. Mana nui. Engari, no te mana i tēnei rā e hoa ki te tuku i ngā kōrero. Nō reira, tēnā, kia mōhio te iwi, you know, some probably got an idea of where Lake Wairarapa is, te moana o Wairarapa. And thank you too for sharing nā haunui ana naia te roto i tapa. Tēnā hea te whānui o te rohe o Kahungunu ki Wairarapa.
So, geographically, probably on a Pākehā map, you look at State Highway 2 coming out of Wellington, starting at Featherston, just at the bottom of the Remutaka Hill. And then you would go all the way through State Highway 2 into, I would say, Pahiatua.
Kia ora.
You go through Featherston. The towns you go through would be Featherston, Greytown. Martinborough is to the east of Greytown. Then there's Carterton, Masterton, Eke Tahuna. Pahiatua kind of borders on the Wairarapa coast, but also the Tararua district. So that's when it starts to kind of veer off into Tararua, Manawatu, and then you get to Woodville, which is kind of half Wairarapa, half Tāmaki Nui Arua, or there's more than two halves, and another Manawatu into Te Ahuaturanga.
Yeah, that's a big area.
Yeah, so a couple towns within the region, but a lot of farmland and a few acres. But we would say Rangitumo in the north, we consider ourselves a valley because we have the Tararua Ranges on our west, we have Maungarake Ranges on our east, the Rimutaka Ranges at our south, and then Rangitumo is at the north. So we're kind of in a bit of a valley, yep.
Kia ora. Wai, whanui tērā rohe. Ko ai ngā kōrero tia te whenua, ko ai ngā tūpuna, o ngā tīpuna, ana i ngā tātai o Kahungunu ki Wairarapa. E ki ai e koutou Kahungunu ki Wairarapa rā koutou.
Pai ki au tēnei pātai, he ahua motuhake a Wairarapa i te mea, whakapapa nei, there are whakapapa lines that can trace back, and the occupation, I would say, of Wairarapa can go as far back as Kupe, I suppose.
Really?
Yeah, well, I got a tono to Taki Karakia on a taonga that was found in a farm, in a creek on a farm, and they carbon dated this taonga, so one of those one-man narrow waka, kind of river going waka, and they carbon dated it to 900 years. So that's going a ways back. But like I say, there are a few evidence that show a long line of occupation of Wairarapa before what we recognise as iwi today, because, you know, first of all, Haunui Ananaia, who was a great-grandson to Kupe,
Kia ora.
The story goes he chased his wahine Wairaka, who was Mātātua Wairaka, according to what I know.
Yeah.
She was with him and then took off with someone else, and he chased her and started his pursuit of her in Whanganui, and he went on his journey naming all the places that he was at. So the kōrero goes Whanganui, Whangaehu, Turakina, Rangitike, Manawatu, Otaki, all the way through Waikanai, and then found her once he got somewhere near Wellington, turned her to stone, apparently the kōrero goes, did away with the tāne and turned her to stone, and then that's when he got to Remutaka and had him a little kararapanga kanohi when he was at Remutaka, and started naming our awa, the moana and our many awa in Wairarapa, and those names of all those awa remained right through.
Kia ora.
So it wasn't as though he named them and then took off and no one was there to keep that kōrero.
Yeah.
Tika.
There were people who knew that those were the names and those names stayed the same all the way through. But then, yeah, there are whakapapa that go back to Tara, or in Te Whanganui a Tara, to Kura Haupo, to Tamate Ariki Nui.
Kia ora.
There are many lines of whakapapa. And then I'll also acknowledge we have Rangitāne in Wairarapa. And actually, the kind of, it's more the treaty processes kind of
Kia ora.
Yeah.
forced us to differentiate between ourselves. For, I would say, 15 to 20 generations, we've been Wairarapa. Our whakapapa take us all the way back to Kahungunu, Rangitāne, Ngai Tara. But for the longer time of our history, we've been in Wairarapa and we've all intermarried and we're all interconnected. But now the treaty process has kind of forced us to say, you're different from me and that's your boundary over there and this is mine over here. Now they're telling me the people I grew up with are not my cousins and the moana and the rivers that I grew up swimming in are not my moana or my river. Most of us of the new generation, we just say we're Wairarapa. Kahungunu ki Wairarapa, Rangitāne ki Wairarapa for when you do kind of iwi stuff, iwi stuff. But really we're just Wairarapa and we're all one in the valley.
Pai.
Yeah, but for me, myself, most of my marae, all of my marae, we whakapapa back up through Kahungunu.
That's really important, you've shared that.
Yeah.
Ahakoa tō kōrero he ahi tere tere, engari, I tupu tonu koe I te whenua. And you know, e hoki ana aku whakaaro tuahine ki te kōrero a Dale, I tupu ake te pono I te whenua. Ana koe nei te pono e kōrero ana koe. And maybe we call this episode Wairarapa / Kahungunu ki Wairarapa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to whakawhānui ngā kōrero e pāna ki te... Well, he nui nā iwi he whera. And you're right, you know, talking about how treaty processes, claims, blah, blah, blah. I whakawehe I ngā iwi. And then some new iwi were born. Ki etahi atu rohe. Yeah, and I mate te tangata ki te kōwhiri. Kōwei hei iwi mōna. So a tāhua te rongo ngā tātai, ngā whakapapa ki a Ngāti Tara, Meki, ko te aitanga Taraika, and then the Kahungunu, and then the intermarriages with Rangitāne. Tētaia e rā tātai te wehe.
That's not to sever our connection to Kahungunu. We have mātou o Kahungunu ki Wairarapa have a huge connection to Ngāti Kahungunu and a very big alliance to Kahungunu as well. So way back when we had a raid in Wairarapa by Te Atiawa, Ngāti Tama, Ngāti Mutunga.
Oh, wow.
We lost that raid and a lot of our people took refuge in Nukutaurua and stayed there for a long time, which, you know, there would have been some intermarrying there.
Kia ora.
So our tipuna Nuku Pewa, he renowned for mahi pakanga, helped people like Te Kani a Takirau, Ngāti Te Whatu Iāpiti, had battles against Ngāpuhi, where they say, the Ngāpuhi are coming down with their poo. And he goes, yeah, we got poo too. And he was talking about poo kaya.
Oh.
And so they rock up and he blows his poo kaya and he's got all of his men blowing poo kaya and then they rock up and they fire some shots off. But apparently he still managed to win that battle and other battles. But then in this particular raid, he was a bit more cunning and knew he was outnumbered. So found a better way to win the war. He set up on a mountain range, our Maungarake mountain range, looking over at the campfires and spotted the biggest campfire and went there in the middle of night, and he took about 25 people from that campfire who were based around that campfire, took them as his kind of prisoners. But in that campfire, so Wharepori is the name of the man who was leading the charge, and the captors were his wife Te Ua Mairangi and Te Ua Mairangi's daughter Te Kakapi. And realising this, Nuku Peopeo, instead of holding them captive, he treated them very well, gifted them a lot of kai, a lot of taonga, and then after a little while sent them back to Wharepori. And then Tua Mairangi pleaded on his behalf, these are good people, these are peaceful people, let's leave them be. And they gifted te kakapi to Nuku Pewa Pewa as tatau pounamu.
Kia ora.
And Nuku Pewa Pewa did a lot of his training as well in Te Wairoa, Nuku Taurua. So all of those connections keep us very tied to Kahungunu and with strong allegiance to Ngāti Kahungunu because of taking us in as refugees and then the intermarrying and then getting us back once the battle was won.
He got around ne, Nuku Pewa Pewa.
Aye. He's done a fair bit of mahisoa here.
Yeah.
Known as Nuku, but called Nuku Pewa Pewa because, well, one, there were other people called Nuku something else. And so Pewa Pewa was his distinction because his moko was in the style of Pewa Pewa.
Hea te rā te Pewa Pewa style?
The closest that I can see today is like Rawiri's, got the lines under the eyes, then spiral on the cheek.
Kia
kind
ora.
of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, taku, what, you know, aku mōhio iti mō te tupuna rā, mō Nuku Pewa Pewa. I tai hoki i manaki i te tiwha a te pare ihe. Kia haere ki te roto ātara. Nera ki te awhina i aia.
Aye.
Ki te pana ia mātou, we were part of that. Ngāti Raukau went down there and tried our luck down in te roto ātara and then got kicked out. With Ngāti Tūwhare toa. He tupuna rongonui a Nuku Pewa Pewa. I've always loved that name, Nuku Pewa Pewa.
Pewa Pewa.
I've always, every time I heard, I think
Fun to
of,
say ones, eh?
like he must have had moving eyebrows because they kupu anō te pewa mo te
Nuku Pewa Pewa.
Well, I don't know, but you know, his explained was because of his moko. But
I'm just trying to marry up timelines here. So, you know that raid you just spoke about where Te Atewa Ngāti Tama and was it Ngāti Toa?
Yeah.
Te mutinga.
And Ngāti Mutunga. Would that have been during the time when they were migrating down
Yeah, around Te Rauparaha's reign. And we know that, so that was when Te Rauparaha kind of had allegiances with them, and Te Rangi Haiata, his nephew, was kind of with Ngāti Ira and all of them. And but we know it was around Te Rauparaha's reign because one of our tipuna, so the first Whatahoro who I'm named after, he was killed in that raid, but his daughter was Te Aitu o Te Rangi, and she was taken to be a hāwini, a slave for Te Rauparaha. But then our story goes, a British whaler saw her and love at first sight. She was so beautiful, apparently. He helped her escape from Te Rauparaha. Took off to Kapiti, from where Te Rauparaha was based in Porirua area. The maunga on Kapiti is called Tūtere Moana.
Kia ora.
Tūtere Moana is a tipuna to Te Aitu o Te Rangi. His daughter was Moi Te Ao. Te Aitu o Te Rangi's hapu is called Ngāti Moi, after Moi Te Ao. So they went to Kapiti to wait out Te Rauparaha's pursuit, and then once they lost him, they took off to Nuku Taurua to join her people. And then she married this Pākehā man, and they had Te Whatahoro, who I'm named after.
Oh, cool.
Kia ora. Good you bring up the timelines tuahine kia koutou hoki ngai taringa. Go back, listen to Ngāti Mutunga, ko Jamie te kai kōrero.
Yeah.
Te Ati Awa,
Yeah.
ko Ben te kai kōrero.
Yes.
And Ngāti Toa, ko Kahu te kai kōrero. You'll see there's a few little parallels running in the kōrero te kuiho.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's interesting about Te Atu o Te Rangi.
Te Aitu o Te Rangi.
Te Aitu o Te Rangi. Yeah, I māre nei tētahi kaipatu wera, and heaps of them did, eh?
Yeah.
And they saw too, those whalers, they were switched on.
Yeah.
So a lot of those whalers married Ariki Tapairu.
The Sterlings,
Yeah.
they descend from a
Well, there's
whaler.
heaps of whānau, like tēnei kōrero tēnei Ngāti Toa, e tai hoki i roto o Ngaitahu.
Oh, yeah, heaps down there.
Yeah.
Cool to hear that she made it back to her people, though.
Yeah, so he took her back to her people. They ended up settling a bit further north than her people in Manutuke because the Pākehā there found mahi with Reverend William Williams, who was based in Manutuke.
Oh, yeah.
This person, Pākehā whaler John Milson Jury, was a carpenter in England, but joined the whaling ship to come this way, kind of get out of England at that time. So he went and worked for William Williams, and that's where they had their son there and kind of started his Te Whatahoro's journey in learning both languages and to read and write, and which became a huge part of our history, his mahi.
Just with the mention of whalers, actually, this like shows that this whole thing wasn't even that long ago. Like, would it have been like 200 years ago, maybe less?
1820s.
The 1820s to 1839 is the estimate of when the raid started in Wairarapa, and 1839 is about the estimate of when we made it back.
Nō reira, ko tēnei whatahoro nōna te ingoa Miki, ko tō ingoa. Nā, so is this the same whatahoro who was the scribe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ka pai.
So he was named after his koroua who died in those raids, and then he started his journey, I suppose, with his papa and the reverend up in Manutuke. But then when they came back, he was sent to Governor Gray's school in Wellington. Continued his journey in learning to read and write. And when he came back and he developed the skills, his Pākehā papa said to him, use your skills for the benefit of your people. And so he started becoming a scribe in our whare wānanga. Yeah, he did a bit of scribing for a lot of hui that they were having, but particularly his probably most notable mahi was he did a tono to one of his pakeke, Te Mātorohanga, who was our tohunga back then, to sit in on his wānanga. I think he had already become a tauira to Te Mātorohanga, and then he did a tono to say, can I write this stuff down? And so that produced what we now know as Te Kauwairunga and Te Kauwairaro, the law of the whare wānanga.
Cool.
Nā kōrero mai mo te mātorohanga. Nō reira, he kahungunu ki Wairarapa te mātorohanga?
Ai, koia no hoki tētahi he uri o te rā, hapu rā o Ngāti Moe, but as we all have other hononga whakapapa, and then his kōrero name a bunch of other hapu that kind of are non-existent, not that they're non-existent, but probably swallowed up by the bigger hapu. So the whakapapa is still there, but the claiming of that hapu was probably gone under the umbrella of other hapu. But he learnt in Te Mātorohanga, learnt in whare wānanga in Wairoa, spent a bit of time in whare wānanga in Ahuriri, and then ran the whare wānanga in Wairarapa, but he also did a little bit of a time in Te Rāwhioro. The tohunga at the time there was Te Rangiuia, but it was short-lived because he was accused of putting a makutu on Te Rangiuia's son, which he refuted, but that kind of put an end to his stay there, I think, and just made his way home and continued his mahi back home.
You know, I've just been watching YouTube videos. You know, I've been reliving the 90s since that bloody Super Bowl show. And and I was watching these YouTube videos on, you know, how rappers were, you know, they had beef with each other and then they started doing diss tracks. And anyway, it was sort of went on between Te Mātorohanga and Te Rangiuia, eh?
Yeah.
Like, well, probably more from Te Rangiuia. I don't know if Te Mātorohanga dissed Te Rangiuia, tana tohunga. But ka mate tana, koe te ingoa te tamaiti a Te Rangiuia? Ware au.
Yeah, ko ware au. And kei roto i te waiata i whakaputaina e Te Rangiuia.
Yeah.
I'm just forgetting the song at the moment.
Te Rangiuia composed a lament for his son.
Yeah.
E hika e hoki koe. Well, that's one verse of it. That's the verse I know. I only know one verse.
Well, I had a tauira in my class last year, he uri, nā te tipuna nei, and she did her aromatawai on this waiata, and she said the same. One verse is only really known, but when she went back to the tangihanga of her karaua, they did all the verses.
Wow.
And kind of blew some of the hokaanga away, particularly because some of the following verses speak about this thing that happened
Yeah.
in the makutu, so a lot of the whānau preferred not to sing it.
Ana.
But yeah, she did her aromatawai and she's talking to me, telling me about this waiata, te mātorohanga, and I'm going, oh, Wiki. Oh, awkward. Yeah.
Wiki.
Wiki, I remember that, ki waha.
Nā, e kōrero pai tērā.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he nui nā kōrero tuku iho i tawa waiatara, te tangi a te rangi uia. It's one of my top compositions, tūpuna compositions anyway. I know that verse. I sort of know tūranga wahine, tūranga tāne, which is the other verse. But for a bit of more tētea trivia for you both, there was a verse that Apirana Ngata was looking for years that had been forgotten. And he found it with a minister in Otaki. He had this missing verse. And that minister happens to be te korau o taku wahine.
Oh.
So Apirana got the verse, he recognised it. I don't know, you know, because they all had their huddles, i rā wāpene, nei wai, in our circles, ahara, ka tai ki ngā hui. And then he whakahokia te whiti ki te tai rāwhiti, and then the waiata was complete. I've only heard it once, and it was Derek and me tahi atu e waiata ana, I te waiatara. Yes, interesting.
Yes.
So te mātorohanga, you know, because ki etahi, ruarua nā wā kua kōrero rā mātou mō etahi whare wānanga. Kua kōrero au mō etahi ki konei ki tainui I tōna wārā. Kuhai is just recounting to everybody, you know, like these days people go and study there and there. You know, te mātorohanga went to Ahuriri, Wairoa, which was renowned for te whare wānanga. You know, I think they might have been Slytherin. No, don't take that. Don't, you know, ko e pāma mai koutou o Wairoa tāpokoro. And then te rāwhio was just really interesting.
Yeah.
In our whare wānanga, they went in threes. So in his whare wānanga was himself, te mātorohanga, nepia pōhuhu, and paratene te okawhare. And they did that so that they could not necessarily correct each other, but fill the gaps that one might miss.
Yeah.
Or they also had their specialties. So te mātorohanga stuck with whakapapa, and then the other two had other kōrero to feed to the whare wānanga.
Kia ora. Ko rātou anō rātou e turuki ana nira. Yeah, whenā te kupu e mohi anau. Nā pau te rā kōrero. And I'd see it in practice too sometimes, you know, pau o wharehuia would be teaching I te panekeretanga, and ko rongo ahau meki māo ko pakake ngā kōrero. E whia nei nā wā, ko arango nā engari, etahi wā ka paku ware nā koraua. And then, you know, you just sort of give them a prompt. So they would have been prompting each other like that.
Yeah.
I think people, you know, our listeners wouldn't realise the influence that the scripture, I guess, I tuhi ai e tō tupuna, e te Whatahoro, because they had a huge influence, not only on mātauranga Māori, well, first of all te pupuru, but I suppose normalising the writing of that information. Because I tērā wā,
would that have been the first sort of written...
Well, published.
Yeah, published.
Yeah.
You know, we hear of a few that kind of date before his time who were writing, but te Whatahoro would have been around, I think he was born 1839, died 1920s, I think. So his prime would have been around the turn of the century. And would have done a lot of his mahi there. So there's plenty of mahi that went around before that, but he got together with the people who were in the Polynesian Journal Society.
Oh, yep.
They kept his mahi and published it later on, which our understanding of that mahi, the published mahi, is quite abridged, not full and complete.
Oh, okay.
As well as the translations. There was no checking of the translations done. It was just Percy Smith who learnt te reo Māori and then went away and translated on his own.
Yeah.
Wouldn't say that they're inaccurate, but his understanding of the content doesn't match up with our understanding of the content. So his translation kind of, for example, he talks about whatukura apa māreikura and then calls them guardian angels. So he's kind of marrying his understanding with what he's translating and missing the mark just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, contextualising it with his world. Yeah, he put his own spin on it, definitely. Yeah, and the JPS, they done some sneaky things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did Gray, you know.
Yeah.
And never
yeah.
attributed, a lot of the stuff.
No.
Oh, here we go. It's like,
No.
here's I'm thinking something else that used to say, the rappers would say, oh, that's biting. So they'd pinch something,
Yeah.
like Gray, or not attribute it to the author.
Yeah.
Especially Gray wouldn't
Yeah.
say who gave him the kōrero, he just
Yeah.
wrote it all down.
Gray's got a whole volume of Waiata Karakia Tawhito and published it under his name.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask this pātai. This will actually be another Taringa episode a tōna wā.
Yeah.
I te mea kei te kōrero tia, te mātorohanga, ngā tuhinga, te whatahoro, te kauairinga, te kauairaro. Did this influence ki o whakaaro, karei te kōrero mo te iwi Māori whānui, engari ngā iwi o meki o oreira, o whenua, they thinking around io?
The published version definitely did. You can kind of see the difference between those who learnt from kōrero tuku iho and those who studied, who went away and studied. The group that went away and studied, they kind of put io on a pedestal. And then those who didn't, tāne is more predominant.
Nice.
Io is used mainly in karakia. Didn't really feature in kōrero tuku iho.
Good point.
Yeah. Didn't really feature in the origin stories other than Tāne's ascension. Yeah, but a lot of our kōrero tuku was mainly based around Tāne or other atua, but Iho became more predominant from those who went away to study.
Yeah, kei te ki te kaupapa anō tēnei.
Yeah.
Kōrero mō, yeah. I mean, Tainui has a io tradition. Engari, he pērā anō, like he pai ki au tō kōrero, those that have learnt the kōrero tuku iho and those that will go away and study, because there's lots of layers and things to wrap around it, and even the interpretation of what io or who io is.
Yeah.
And that's something that Percy did. So in their world, they have a one almighty God, and so they were looking for the equivalent in our kōrero. And he found the closest thing that he could, reminded of some kōrero. I've heard it a couple times and it's out of Te Arawa, and the pātai went, who is the one and supreme God in Te Ao Māori? And the answer was, ko rangi nui e tūnei, ko papatū nuku e takoto nei. And the person who asked the question thought the question was misunderstood, but to a taringa Māori, they understand duality, and all of those things, so...
Pai. Pirangi kia kōrero tonu i... Engari, me waiho tērā ki te roki o mahara. A tōna wā ka hoki anō ki te wānanga io.
This is making so much sense to me now. Like, I've always wondered where io has come from.
Yeah.
And now that you talk about the influence of other people's interpretations, I'm like,
Yeah. Same sort of thing, like from a Tainui perspective, is we have a io tradition. I think how it's been interpreted, along with what Percy Smith did, and and probably some of the translations to that koro did in his time. Yeah, he pai tēnei wānanga. Because you can't take it in one, you can't just observe one piece of it.
Yeah.
There's all the strands that are all part of the story, the narrative. Yeah. Well, I think, as we've said in previous episodes, ko tā taringa he tuku i etahi o ngā kōrero. Meki, hei tautau i o koutou whakaaro e te iwi. And I do hope we've got some kahungunu ki Wairarapa out there that are listening to this one. Whether you're ahi kā, ahi tere tere, or ahi mātau, this kōrero, I would think, would inspire you to learn more about yourself. And me, as someone that's not kahungunu ki Wairarapa, I've learnt lots.
I have too. I want to look into Wairaka's story now, because I grew up in Whakataane, and, that's where Wairaka was from. And then now that you've mentioned her hair, I'm like, wow, there's so much more to her story.
Don't you be going down there to claim any whenua, Erica.
No, I'm not Ngāti Awa, but I just grew up
Yeah.
spent a lot of time there.
And kei te Painoio anyway, Upper Nui's got heaps of land, eh?
Yeah.
And the main diving spots.
Yeah.
Oh, Wairarapa's got some good diving spots too, though.
E tai, e ao, ki te hunga e whakarongo ana, Miki, me ke konei tō iwi e whakarongo ana, hea e tahi kōrero ki tō iwi. Even hea o tūmana ko mo tō iwi?
Well, ko te tuatahi e hanga ana ki te reo. So we had a poropiti in the early 1800s, and it was Paora Potangaroa.
Kia ora.
And he prophesied that we would lose te reo Māori in Wairarapa, but that it would come back through ngā tamariki me ngā mokopuna, me ngā whakareanga. So we say tēnei rea ngā oku he whakakitenga o tērā poropitihanga.
Kia ora.
It was about, from my knowledge, our last native speaker was a kuia neni Hine Pāwai, and she died in 2004. But then, me mihi ahau ki etahi, he rāwaho i haramai mo e tāne ki roto Wairarapa, and then they got into the kohanga reo e kura kaupapa, and they kind of fostered the new generation of speakers. So for a few years, a long time, te reo in Wairarapa was carried by non-Wairarapa people. So he nama nui tō mātou ki etahi atu iwi. Tūhoi featured hugely in our reo revitalisation in Wairarapa. I don't know if you know Ray Hohipa.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, works with the Wānanga. So his mother was our tumuaki and our lead kaiako at our kura for years. And their whānau contributed to the revitalisation of our reo. Her name was Neni Babi. And then he wahine, etahi wahine no Ngāpuhi, Neni Ngaro Carol, Neni Paremo Matthews, Neni Paremo he Ngāti Hine, Neni Māsia no Waikare Moana, Hine Ari no Rua Taupare. So yeah, a lot of kuia mainly who came to Wairarapa and carried kohanga reo and kura kaupapa in their time. Yeah, so tūmanako wise, kia kaha tonu te whakakitenga o tērā poroputihanga to continue the realisation of that prophecy. And it's awesome, me mihi au ki taku whanaunga ki a te korau, he ahi tere anō tēnā, and mahi nui ana. He does heaps of mahi in Tāmaki Makaurau, but then still finds the time to come home to Wairarapa and tutor our kapa.
Kia ora.
Cool.
And then looking at our kapa, the majority of our kapa, young, majority of them are ex-students of the kura kaupapa, so a few years ago would have been unheard of that we could have a practice, rumaki reo practice, and then he pushes for that to get our kapa going, to promote te reo wherever we can, and then using kapa haka as a waka of transformation, just as a the thing that has a huge attraction, and then using that to promote te reo, promote going back to our marae, regular attendance at tangihanga and all those things. And like, I don't know if you would have seen one of our haka from our regionals was Anei Taku Kenge. It was a kind of a aki to some of our whanaunga to lose your jackets and lose your patches, and and then it goes Anei Taku Kenge, ko tōku Māoritanga, ko te aho matua. We were all brought up in kura kaupapa, te aho matua, and ko Rangiura Taku Kenge. And based on one of our cousins who took off his patch and said, Rangiura's my gang now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so kind of following those lines of tūmanako, promoting te reo and te ao Māori as a vehicle to achieve excellence.
Kare kore rarapa nā ngā kanohi o kuia o kraua, me ngā tai pakeke, i ngā mahi e mahi nā koutou, me ki tō whakareanga, e whakatinana nei te whakakitenga a tō tupuna, a tō poropiti. Nō reira e mihi ake ana e tai. Me tō kapa, because I'm a bit rusty on my... I know there was Kahungunu ki Wairarapa performed in 1981. I'm not sure... That was the name of the group too, Avondale. I'm not sure if they came back in 1983. So there was this big dormant time.
I think our most recent one was 94 in Hawera, because Mum says I was in the kōpū at the time. So
Oh, yeah.
technically I've been on a matatini stage. But yeah, so 94 Hawera was the one before 2019 in Wellington. It was our return to the stage.
Yeah, and young, and I'd like to say vibrant as well.
Yeah.
I rawe ki au tā koutou tū. Me te rā tū hoki ki te whakataitai arohe. A koa nei pia kei reira kei tō kapa tētahi waiata mo te waiata o te wiki.
Ai, he waiata tangi ki tētai o mātou kaihaka, he whanaunga ki au, engari he waiata e tūtui ana i ngā kōrero, I suppose, e kōrero āiwi, e kōrero mo Wairarapa, engari e kōrero tuku aroha ki tō mātou whanaunga. It was our waiata Taringa, actually, in 2019.
It's been a while since we've done kawhaka, so...
Yeah.
Te mawhara whakaaro ai. Te koe nei te waiata o te wiki?
Ai, ko taku manu mea.
Taku manu mea.
Manu mea.
Nō reira, tēnei te mihi ki a koe Whatahoro.
Ai.
Ai, ko ora i a koe o tūpuna i te rānei, me ngā kōrero tuku iho. Ana hei tautau i ngā whakaaro o ngai taringa i te rānei. Nō reira, e mihi nui ana māua o tira mātou i te korenga o hei, o te puaheiri i te rānei. Tēnei ka mihi ki a koe, ngā manaakitanga ki a koe, me ngā whakamānoa hoki ki tō kapa mana rā te waiata tautoko i te rānei, anei te waiata o te wiki taku manu mea. tēnā koutou, te rangiura o Wairarapa.
Te rangiura.
Te rangiura o Wairarapa, tēnā koutou.
Kararapa aku kanohi.
Ana, yeah.
I o nā kōrero.
Tika, he pai tērā wānanga kōrero rero. Taha o Whatahoro. I learned lots. What's one takeaway for you?
Oh, I've got a few.
Okay. You can share a few.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to touch on how he mentioned his tipuna Haunuiana Naya, who was going around naming things, and how he mentioned that there would have been heaps of people with him to learn the names too. Because I've always thought that myself, always wondered, like, okay, so this person's come and named that lake or awa, whatever the name is. How come someone else doesn't just come along maybe a year later and be like, I'm going to name it this?
Yeah.
It's so simple, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I need to go look into Wairaka's story more and see how that all marries up.
Yeah, and if there is another Wairaka.
Yeah. Because I thought she went up to Tāmaki.
Well, I know she did go to Tāmaki. I know that kōrero because that's the now kōrero as well, like in the Tainui kōrero.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ka pai, there's some rangahau for you.
Yes. That was cool how I was talking about the whare wānanga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool.
Really cool. Going around and getting, the different knowledge at the different places would have just shaped those tohunga
Ana.
to have like wider visions.
Yeah.
Wider perspectives on everything. And it's just like what we do now.
Yeah, and he pai kia kite kia rongo te iwi I tērā. It wasn't new to our tupuna to study at various whare wānanga. I think we may have had a bit of a kōrero about that previous, can't remember, but yeah, it has come up in discussion.
Well, I just thought they would sort of like stay in their own rohe and go to whare wānanga in their own, wherever they, nearby where they lived. So that was cool to hear that he went all the way up to Rāwhioro.
Well, yeah, in that space on the whare wānanga, one of my takeaways was sort of like just a reminder that, a lot of what our tupuna wrote or transcribed by whoever, that was then taken and given its own meaning by a lot of the time the Pākehā who was publishing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll put their own spin on it.
Yeah, and that's how we end up with Matariki and his 7 sisters.
Yeah, there's so many kaupapa, so that was good. Yeah, and talking about io.
Yeah.
For me to think about some of the kōrero tuku iho that we have about io, and then the interpretation that others have given to it. So, rawa atu e mihi tonu ana kia koe te whatahoro.
Ai, me mihi ka tika.
Ai, e mihi ana hoki ki tō iwi, nāna rā koe I whakatupu. E rongo ana I tērā, I roto I o kōrero. Me tō noho whakaiti, rangatira ana taringa I a koe. Nō rere mihi ana. So, tēnā koutou te iwi, and kei wareware au, shout out to Te Māngai Pāho and New Zealand on air.
Irirangi te motu.
Anei māua e mihi atu nei Taringa, I raro I ngā manaakitanga a te wānanga o Aotearoa. Hoi anō, ka nui tērā e te iwi e mihi atu ana, hei kona mai rā.
Hei kona!
Me whakaronga pi kari kari, gather up close everybody buddy. Yeah, tahuri mai ki yo, whakarongo ki te tangi a te kori mako. Kōrero flowing out the hookah force, kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā kona whakapiri mai ki te, kaupapa tino whakahira hira, whakarongo pi kari kari mai, hare mai, o Taringa hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody, gather up close everybody. Kani move that body, kani move that body.
Taringa. He mea tuku nā te wānanga o Aotearoa, nā te māngai pāho me irirangi te motu I tautoko. To listen to more episodes, search for us on your podcast app and subscribe, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Taringa. Whakarongo mai.